does that mean? Check my speaker. Hello?
The West Hills.
Mm-hmm.
So West Hills has a combined also committee.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry that I threw that in our governing board meeting. You know, I was thinking out loud, and I was thinking because of the limitations that we have right now, as far as because outreach, you know, my experience contributing to the outreach committee, even though I was never officially part of the committee, was to try to attend as many events as possible, especially because at the time I was the only speaker of Spanish within the board. So it was really useful when we had those, for example, the movies in the park, or fire service day. Those events are massively attended by Spanish-speaking families. So it was, and at the same time, we would also try to collect information from them, inform them about what the neighborhood council is, because of the, I guess, many of them are renters, and maybe they're not, sometimes they're not staying for long in the neighborhood. So there's always it's always new information for them. So knowing about what the neighborhood council is, and what we can offer, what services we can help them with, that was important. But right now those events are all online. So that's why I thought it might be more effective to maybe that way also avoid as many meetings.
So I think that it would be sorry, my dog just went to drink out of the toilet bowl. My boyfriend's freaking out. So I think that perhaps we can use a little bit of what, you know, they have here, and also what Hawthorne has, like, you know, increased visibility. That might be something that, because we want to make sure that we are capturing what communications wants to do, but we're also being distinct from outreach, because they're two separate committees. So we can, you know, we can take your input, Lizzie, keeping in mind that you may want to keep some of these things for your own committee, you know, unless we eventually hope to perhaps combine them.
Yeah.
which we're not sure about yet, right? But I think we can do that.
Because I see myself coming to your meetings. Communications, I think it's very important within the goals of outreach. I mean, I really don't see how outreach could be effectively done or achieved without communications, without, you know, what you guys do within the board.
So perhaps, you know, borrowing from all of these other examples, perhaps, you know, promote participation. Would that be correct to include in
Definitely.
hours, or do you think, Rain?
Well, I think that's where like the line is kind of drawn between communications and outreach, right? Like we're just kind of getting the word out there, whereas outreach is actively trying. I mean, while we're both like, I guess like we have the end goal of both of us have the end goal of like bringing people in, but outreach specifically exists to like outreach to people, whereas we are just here to like communicate to people. Hopefully like the messages we communicate out are received and appreciated and whatever, and like that brings people in. But like, you know, like the missions are a little bit different. So
I think that in terms of like your three eyes, perhaps, you know, our role is more in the informed area, right? Whereas, you know, included and involved is more like your like outreach focus. I can't
outreach. Yes.
Yeah, you can reuse that for, I don't know how to undo the screen. the
when you go to the top, the menu.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
That was easier than I thought. Okay, so yeah, perhaps like keeping the informed aspect, but then, you know, that can just be struck out. Okay, I'll just delete it. Let's see. So like, you know, see like communications committee in Hawthorne hosts community events. Do we want to include that, you know, in ours, or is that more of like an outreach thing? Because like, you know, like we talked about virtual open houses, like do we want to, I mean, that would be a joint effort for sure. You know, but like, do we want to add that to our mission statement?
I wouldn't think so. Like,
right?
Hosting events seems like it's a step too far.
What about providing various
outreach?
Right. Yeah, I agree. Providing resources.
I think that's fine. Yep.
So this is more of like the what do we do sort of, right?
And who,
For our stakeholders, community members. I wasn't really sure how to answer this, but it was a pretty common question to, you know, when I did research on developing a mission statement and like what's the impact that we want to have, which I think it may just be to, you know, increase visibility. That could be used as
it's like
or
awareness.
like a measurable.
Awareness.
I feel like we have enough words to develop a mission statement now.
Yes. And thank you for doing this research. It's really useful.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, because we can, you know, we don't have to necessarily reinvent the wheel. It can just
exactly. Because I saw that NANDAC, they have it as marketing and outreach, but it's basically, I think it might be something similar to what West Hills is doing.
Oh,
So,
okay. Good to know.
just, collaborating, together.
Yeah. Laura, did you have something to add?
Yeah. If this was a marketing department and we were kind of talking about this, I think we would be saying, identify our various publics, who are our publics with an S. So stakeholders are certainly one, but are we also, is government another, meaning the various city departments? And is there a message that we should always be, what's our message or messages? I mean, in other words, who's handling that? So increasing visibility and awareness of UNNC is obviously a broad thing, but it also becomes a little more specific somewhere, among the various publics, because our stakeholders or publics would include, the business community, the people who are living here, the subgroups of people living here. Some are renters, some are seniors, as I think I see down there, and maybe the way to communicate to them is different. And I think I heard as I was racing by, but when the microwave was beeping, that how do you separate communications and outreach? When we're meeting in person or having events in person, part of the outreach committee, they're handing out the little doodahs with our names on it, and then gathering email addresses and names from stakeholders. That's a whole other function we're not doing right now. Right. But the question would be, how do we do that now? How do we build our outreach list on MailChimp is static. Every week or so we gain 2 and we lose 2. Might be the same 2 some of the time, or they just log out because they've changed emails and they give us emails. But
yeah,
how do we build the list?
I like what you said about identifying who our stakeholders are. I'm getting a little feedback.
I don't think it's me.
Let's see. Yeah, it is you, Laura.
It only showed up when you did, so yeah.
So I do like what you said, Laura, about perhaps identifying who our stakeholders are. Oh, it's back. Hold on. I muted all of you, so so I we have government who I don't think that those are our stakeholders. I think that we are the liaison between the government and our community members. But I do like business groups, residents. I mean, does anybody else think, do we want to identify amongst residents, homeowners, or
I'm not sure I understand.
Do we want to do that, or?
Well, I'm not sure I understand the purpose of that. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm having trouble understanding the purpose of that.
Well, I think at some point, the issue has been brought up that sometimes the kind of information that homeowners expect might be different from what renters might expect.
Well, if I can jump in, again, going back to just beyond 6 months ago when we were meeting in person, when we years ago did the Washington Boulevard, when UNNC was working on a proposal to make Washington Boulevard a specific plan, we had 30 some meetings with different kinds of groups, and had 2 meetings that were like pours, for lack of a better phrase, for the business community. So we invited them someplace and gave them wine. We probably weren't supposed to give them wine, be that as it may. We went out and requested the ability to meet at neighborhood association meetings and told them about UNNC and gave them information on this project, and had speakers. So in a virtual world, I'm not really sure how this relates, but it's identifying the different groups and identifying how you message them, what you message them, what you're saying to them, and how do you reach them. And I think that's the communications committee task. And I don't think that's the outreach committee task, but I could be wrong. I mean, in other words, I don't know how these two interface totally. I do know that the communications committee is not the group deciding that this year we want mugs and that the logo should be on the mugs and where we're handing out the mugs. I mean, I think that would be outreach for sure. So, at some things you intersect and some things you don't. And I'm just saying, from many years ago, my first job out of college was with a public relations and marketing firm. So I'm kind of was forced to go I was out of college and now I was back in college because they wanted me to get a certificate in marketing and public relations and collateral materials. So I'm stretching back 40 years now, and we didn't have anything better than fax at the time to do multiple outreaches. So that's about press releases, etc. But again, for example, is it the communications committee role to send press releases to other publications about what UNNC is doing? And that's not necessarily a mission so much as a strategy on how to achieve a goal. But our local is one of our publics, one of our contact entities, other media, or are we only doing our own media?
Yeah, and I think that's maybe something to address like down the line when we are having events that we want to get press for, like I think that's.
Well, do we want to get press for ourselves?
Right.
We're handing out food to people who are food insecure.
Yeah, that's a question that I don't have an answer for right now.
Right.
But going back to like the idea of like marketing, like defining your market, like I feel like as a communications department of a neighborhood council, like we're a big bullhorn that is just like kind of broadcasting our communications to anybody and everybody. We're not like necessarily like segmenting the population into like homeowners versus renters versus da-da-da. I think some of the things that we put out, like some of the articles we put out or some of the anything that we put out on Facebook might be more geared to those segments of those populations, but I don't think that we're ever necessarily just wanting to communicate to just those separate populations, because that's just not. I don't think that's our mission. But obviously, it's
obviously less efficient to try and parse it out if it's all virtual.
That too, yeah.
I think that and here's like I guess a compromise would be that our mission statement be encapsulating of all the stakeholders that we serve. And then in practicality, when we implement this mission statement on a case-by-case basis, when we have, different communications projects ongoing, that we determine who is the best recipient of that message. But as of, I think including it in our mission statement may be a little bit restrictive for us. So perhaps I think it's a really good point, Laura, to be able to be mindful of our communications and who it's meant to be for. So I definitely think that we need to think about that on a consistent basis. But we also, I feel like the mission statement, and I think you're both right, the mission statement should just include just an all-encompassing term for everybody we serve. If that's okay with you guys, we can.
Gabby, you're so very nice. Let me tell you that I'm really okay with my idea being rejected.
No, I think I really like your idea.
In and out of the meeting.
So I think that I'll flag who those are, who our stakeholders are, just to pretty much say, look at it or review, right, or revisit when looking at projects. That way it's still in our mind to, to pay attention to that, to be mindful of that. But I think that these are, I mean, I don't know what you guys think, if these are like, you know, things that we want to remain. Of course, not that, but
Yeah, I think from this, I think we can
yeah.
craft a mission statement. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think we'll do it right now in this meeting, but
Yeah. But
yeah.
if we're in agreement, then we can, Raheem, we can work on you know, a sentence or two for
Yeah,
this.
I'll look at it for real this time.
Yeah, no worries. We're both like, it's terribly hard to get things done because
Yeah.
you know, everything else happening. And we're out of time.
Well,
so
I want to interject one other thing, and I
Yeah,
don't
go
know how
ahead.
important this is. At executive committee, Greg was keenly interested in creating a template for UNNC's committees, which he just sent. So Gabby, you probably got a copy of this.
Did.
And it's
Yeah.
just very drafty draft, but and I don't think we need to have measurable, quantifiable, and qualifiable goals. Sorry, I'm hearing the feedback.
I think the culprit is Lizzie.
Okay.
But
Maybe
he
I
thinks
have the fan on. Okay, I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay, thank you, Lizzie. Yeah, I think that here I can probably share that.
right.
I have it open.
You have to unshare the thing that's there. And I'm saying he just know that he's retired military and he ran a program. So this is very, you must have your goals and they must have measurable results, which which I think we,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, measurable results. We finished the meeting before 10 o'clock.
Yeah, that's quite an accomplishment.
Exactly. But
okay,
what he wrote about what a mission statement should have, or a mission and vision statement, might be something to, since he'll question it.
Can you guys see the screen now? Lizzie, I know it might be a
There it
little bit
is.
more difficult for you to see, but he did share this with, I think, everyone.
Executive committee, I think.
Oh, I see. Okay, so
Just-
yeah, he wanted to have the name of the committee, the goals, which are, you know, quantifiable, qualifiable. I like that. I think that may take more time.
Well, I'm not so sure that's going to work for, say, I don't know, I'm making this up. Well, it's not going to work for planning and zoning because we don't have quantifiable goals other than we case process. I mean, we process cases and occasionally have training sessions. But anyway. And we won't, and the committees don't have secretaries.
Yeah, so it is I guess, you know, if you want to talk about implementation, it's going to be a little bit hard to do that with what our structure looks like. But, you know, we can use this as a little bit of a guide, you know, to make sure that we, I guess, get some of this developed.
Right, but that first thing, the why of your committee's existence, the overarching reason that you meet and work as a committee, that's not a bad thought, obviously. And so the question would be, is what you have on what's now my left, does it fit the question he's asking on the right?
We can definitely make it fit for sure.
So.
Yeah, so I'll just go ahead and if possible, copy this. And we need to move to the next item on our agenda. Sorry.
Would you please tell me what the did you send that? Did Greg send that to all of us?
No. This is a draft he sent to executive committee because one of the things we decided at executive committee is to create a committee template.
Okay, never mind. Yes. All right. Thank you.
So this is not approved.
All right. Got it.
Okay, next item is the mailable postcard project update. I don't know that we have one, right? Okay, no problem.
Nothing. Yeah, I mean, again, maybe we'll just get together at some point in these next
Yeah,
couple
yeah, yeah.
weeks and just hammer some stuff out, because
Yeah, no, I think that's fine.
yeah.
Board member news project update. We are going to get that up tomorrow, probably, Raheem, right?
Yeah, I'll post. Well, yeah, let's.
Maybe write up some instructions on how to do it so that I can help you do that too, if you want.
Yeah, I'll make like I can make a PDF,
Yeah, that way,
like with screen grabs.
if there's ever any turnover,
Yep.
somebody else will have the instructions.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That too.
Yep.
Yeah, but thank you, Lizzie, for doing that. And I think I forgot who's next on the schedule,
Yeah, that's what I was
but we
gonna
have to send them a
ask.
reminder to get that in.
Yeah, but thank you, Lizzie.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so
Sorry
I
that.
What was that, Laura?
feedback loop. I have a question. I had emailed the two of you. Which of these news stories are going to end up on the, well, how are we distributing the news stories? Because, you know, my thought in part would be if they're going to be on the web, if I have the URL, it can go out in an e-blast saying, hey, here's a little teaser, you know, check out our website. We have a story about this. Here's the link. But I don't know if that's your idea with all of them. I mean, you know, how yeah.
I think any of them that are like stories, news stories, air quotes. Yeah, they'll be posted to the website. Anything that's just like more, you know, graphical in nature or visual in nature might just be a post on Facebook or eventually Instagram. But I think if there's like a news story, like this one is a news story, it'll be on the website and then linked on Facebook.
Okay, so
yeah. So we can, we should
remind you that it requires 2 executive board approvals, Gabby being
Right.
one, and Raheem. I mean, in other words, the last 6 months, it's been you, me, and Jeff. Raheem, me, and Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff's not even on the board. But I think we need to go back to our real rules.
Mm-hmm.
What are our
Two members of the executive
rules?
committee.
Oh,
Two
okay.
members. Yeah, it had been, you know, initially on all those COVID updates, it was Raheem and me and Jeff. So, because we couldn't even find anybody else. Let me just.
So, Laura, I know that you have a lot.
Yeah, I was just going forward. I don't quite know. I mean, and this is again, maybe communications committee should be proposing that you're immune to that. I mean, that we want to post news as quickly as we can on the website, and it shouldn't have to jump through a lot of hoops. But the risk is that, oops, we post something and get accused of libel or slander. You know.
Well, and how do we define like 2 executive committee approvals? Like because I'm thinking like instead of me posting the stories to the website myself, if we have our web person, if we have Ann do it and like we send an email to Ann and we BCC the executive committee so everybody sees it and give it like a 24-hour like, you know, hold time.
I don't think you need to even do that. I think you need to say Gabby's on the executive committee, so you got one right there, right? So the question is, do you need 2? Can it be, meaning the question for the board, not for Laura, is do you need 2? If the board says yes, you need 2, then I would be the other, because the president always is the number 1, actually. But, and at least I live on email. But at the moment it's 2. So the question becomes, you want it to be 2 and not bother having this conversation for 30 minutes at the board? Or do you want to try and have a different policy for posting news stories on the web? And catch me up, when this whole committee was created, and I was totally uninvolved with that, it was you and Jeff and Denise, right? What was discussed at that time? Was there even any sort of different decision made at the time when the committee was established? Because, you know, I was not paying attention to all this bureaucratic crap.
Yeah, and the only reason why I'm bringing up this because I'm just thinking about like a process, because like if the process is just me or Gabby as individuals like posting stories to the website, like if we were to like put it in the hands of Anne, and which has to be an email to her anyway, and if we CC another member of the executive committee or the entire executive committee, BCC and whatever, then at least like this is a process that we can just have it going forward, and that would be like a standard process that we would just have instead of, I don't know, it feels a little bit easier and cleaner to me.
Yeah, I'm not voting. I'm saying who's approving the copy, meaning somebody sends you copy or you write it yourself. Those are two different things, actually. I'm trying to remember, how did we handle the Hugh Moore thing? He sent it in.
We just did. I mean, I think
you edited it, right? And then you sent it to me.
Yeah.
And then you sent it to me, and I thought it was cool. And we decided what to do with it. And we ended up parsing it out where it was part of it was in the email, and the whole thing was posted to the website. So you guys are planning to edit these board contributions, correct?
As needed, yeah.
If we need to, but
yeah,
you know,
well, you're reviewing them and deciding if they're cool and if a period is needed or if they really need editing. I mean, you're going to have a random, I mean, you can't know now which are simple and which are hard. But after that, then the question, I hear what you're saying. Well, it's just easiest to copy everybody. Oh, no. I mean, it may be the right thing to do, but let me tell you, based on the last couple of executive committees, it won't be the
I get it.
It may be the right thing, but what Jeff has told me, I have not wanted to do it this way, but what Jeff has told me is usually the president just chooses one other, and those are the two, you know, on most items and even on agendas. I don't agree with that. I like to share with the entire executive committee. I'd rather be more collaborative, but it will be not efficient.
Okay, so let's Gabby, maybe let's ask in the next board meeting if we need a second approver, and that way.
Well, the rule is that we need a second approver. So
right.
I mean, can it just be me and Laura? I mean, what do you want to, Raheem, explore potentially just looking at getting rid of the rule?
Is it in our bylaws or our zoning rules? Or how? Okay, all right, never mind. Yeah, so I mean, Laura, if you're okay being the second person, then.
Well, I live on email, so that's not a real big deal. But I'm also not wanting to be a person that everyone starts seeing as, you know, remember, I accidentally became this officer position. It wasn't.
And that's what I was going to get at, Laura. Do you want to be the second approver? Because otherwise I can ask for a volunteer and have that person's phone number and just send them a text message. Hey, can you take a quick look at this?
Okay, so well, here's the thing. My background's journalism, so it's not a hard thing for me to be the second approver, and I sit all day long on email, so that's efficient. I'm just worried that people, well, and I'm doing the e-blast for MailChimp. So all of those things that's all efficient.
Yeah, okay.
So it makes you convenient.
At what point do people say Laura's running everything and not sharing and not being collaborative?
I don't think anybody will say that. I don't think anybody will say that. I guarantee nobody will say that.
I think we're okay with you being the second approver, and that works for me. Raheem, are you okay with that?
Yep. So we'll just build you into the process.
All right.
Yep. Okay. Next item is website updates discussion. Do you have anything, Raheem, that you want to share?
I mean, I know I took notes last time of some things that people brought up, and I just never.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be something we needed to have done right away.
Yeah.
I think we can. I think as long as we're, thinking about them.
And you know what we should do, because I've had like a couple of conversations with our web designer, Anne. I don't know, have you met her yet?
No, not yet.
Yeah, so maybe let's like set up a call with the three of us at some point in the next couple of weeks, because there's already a couple things that I've told her about, and so maybe we can just like approach her with everything that people mentioned last time, and we can kind of start to get things ordered so that we can actually have stuff done eventually.
Okay. Yeah, cool. That sounds good.
Like somebody somewhere asked, I think Greg somewhere asked if there's like a process for
Getting things on the
suggesting
website.
or suggesting improvements to the website.
Oh, I see.
So,
Well, I mean, this would really be their opportunity. If they have any suggestions, this would be the time for them to come to the meeting or send us an
yeah,
email to
yeah.
share
So maybe
that.
we can clarify that at the next board meeting.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so then hold on, I'm taking notes. So we talked about the process for approving board member news stories. And then we're gonna set up a call with Anne for website updates.
Yep.
And then we are going to share with the board the process for updating website content,
Yep.
right? Okay, and this is going to be on the communications committee folder, right? So you can add
Cool.
You can add to it if you have time.
Need to bookmark that.
All right, let's see. So our next item will be the review of preliminary social media schedule. I was hoping that Rosie was also on here, but I guess she couldn't make it today. But I'm going to share my screen so that we can take a look at what we were discussing.
Okay.
So this, Lizzie, I don't know if you can see the screen. It might be too small, but this is what we were thinking of using for the social media schedule. And we're looking at, obviously indicating what date items will be posted, what the post title, I suppose, is, the platforms in which we will share those, the message that will be shared. If it's like a Twitter thing, the message will be enough. And then media, I added the links and images in case you want to link it to anything. And then any other notes. Lizzie, did you have any ideas for what you wanted to include in this social media schedule?
Okay, one thing that would be really helpful would be on Facebook. There are quite a few pages. Oh, also website, Facebook, Nextdoor. That would be another one. But on Facebook, there are many community pages, and I believe Greg had started a database of different of institutions that exist in the neighborhood, as far as schools, organizations, nonprofits, and he might have included a section for Facebook pages, because usually I do the historic Jefferson Park, then there's another Greater Jefferson Park, and Nextdoor. But besides those 3 pages, there are many others that some of them have, like West Adams Avenues, for example. When you post, it goes to the side. So the message is basically not read. Same thing with, I believe, Harvard Heights. So, but there are others, West Adams, and so if I had a list, I could totally take care of those, spreading the word far and wide. And
you know what, Gabby, remember when we met with Jeff, we had that call with Jeff, he was supposed to be getting us a list of neighborhood associations and also. He's supposed to be putting together a list of all those groups that exist within the UNNC.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll flag that to follow up with him.
So, for example, we had this case just this past week with, because, and again, I know why you mentioned Rosie, because she said, why are you not sharing, what was it? The
agendas.
The meeting,
the agendas.
Meeting.
Yeah.
The agendas. And so I can't remember. I don't think there was ever a, it has been very organic at this point. Sometimes we just share personally from our, you know,
Right.
yeah,
Well,
there's no set schedule. So we definitely need a protocol. And I will be more than glad to be part of that, especially because now there are no events. So yeah, that really, yeah.
well,
I think
there's
I
another
think
issue. Jeff somehow has admin credentials for many of our local Facebook pages, but he's not shared them. I mean, I don't know how he got them. He can't share it. He's still saying, well, I can post, but I think we have to stop relying on the past president to do that for us. So
Yeah, and we talked to him about that when we met with him. There's going to be a date. Like once we have our social media calendar set up, like we're going to turn him off and turn us on. So that if he does want something posted, he needs to get it on our calendar so that we're aware of what's being posted.
Well, that's not even what I mean. If you're not an admin on most of the Facebook pages now, depending on how they're organized, but even like West Adams Heritage, because I reposted, I shared our UNNC post to that. The visitor posts have completely disappeared. They meaning Facebook just remade Facebook pages for nonprofit organizations. And you can't, there's really no visitor posts that you can see. So we can't be a visitor posting. I am a member of Kinney Heights, so I can post to Kinney Heights. I don't know if UNNC is a member, but each of these neighborhood associations are also organized differently on Facebook. So Kinney Heights is a member group. You have to be a part of the group.
I think, Laura, I think that, I mean, we should first focus on getting the word out to our neighborhood association member stakeholders, and then
that's what I'm talking about.
on the list of other neighborhood associations. So I think that that's maybe down the line, and down the line, I mean in like the next few weeks, once we finalize our social media schedule, to explore the the other avenues of like Facebook that we have to figure out still, because it sounds like it's a little bit of a hot mess.
Well, it's a grid, and I agree with you, but the point is we weren't able to share this Saturday's event properly. So many of our neighborhoods, not all of them, have their own Facebook page and should be able to post to them without relying on or me for Kinney Heights because I'm a member, or I don't know, Raheem, like how does somebody who's not an admin for Arlington Heights post, or even can they?
You can, but it gets buried.
Right. So
on the page. So I think for some of the things that we're doing, like we're having to take like a step backwards, and this is an example of that. Like with our Facebook outreach, all we can really worry about is our Facebook page and our Facebook page subscribers. Like I think it's great that there are networks of there is a network of like neighborhood associations out there that can repost our stuff, but if we don't have control over that, we can't be super concerned about it right now, because we have to take like a step back since we're like regaining control of our stuff right now. So things might be a little slow initially, but I think what Gabby's saying, like this is something that we can try to like build back, but it may not be fully functional on day one that we take full control of our social calendar.
Right, but what I think what I'm trying to say is Greg is creating, as you said, a sort of database of neighborhood associations, but what we really need is the email address of each of their admins for each of their Facebook pages, because it's not a hard idea if we have posted something to our Facebook page to then send a group e-blast to those probably 12 people. It's probably not more than 12 people, saying, we just posted this, can you share with your Facebook? And then they go to our Facebook and share. And then we don't have
That's
to
fine.
worry about posting to each one. That's really my point.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't think it was ever
Yeah.
our plan to post to all these other pages, especially given that, like, you know, visitor posts aren't featured on other pages anymore. I think, I mean, what I've been talking about this whole time is just posting on our own page so that our followers, our subscribers see the content.
Correct. And I think I'm integrating with that. I mean, in other words, if you're going to post day after day, most of that doesn't need sharing. But if we knew that the admin, I don't even know who they are, but the admin for Harvard Heights and for Angeles Vista is Mason Bendevald. He's both. I know that. He's the only guy who posts. He's the only one who can post. So for it to not be buried. So I mean, now I'm arguing, because before I was like, oh, I don't care if you don't care about my idea. But on this one right now, somehow Jeff Camp. But the problem is that Jeff Camp has been controlling this for us. And while that's great, it can't go on forever. He's not on our board.
So yeah, so like Reem said earlier, we are talking to him about taking control of posting on all of our accounts. So I've added to our to-do, Reem, to gather either the list of neighborhood associations that exist and then an admin for each of those I guess neighborhood council associations Facebook pages, so that we can do what Laura is suggesting, which is an email blast after we've had a,
and also, that's important, which would not be the random ones, but you know, every so often,
that's fine. We can work out the kinks later. Sorry, Lizzie, did you have something to add?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
So I have a specific request. So for example, on the e-blast, we get a very detailed set of links to agendas, to packet, information packets, and all that. And it is very useful, and you click once and you get to the material, to the information. Whereas when you want to post, like for example, Historic Jefferson Park Facebook page is open. Anybody can post. So whoever gets to read and wants to share, it's very cumbersome because we don't, basically there's only a link, I believe, on the website where you get a PDF file downloaded into whatever, your phone or your computer. So then it becomes, for the reader, it becomes, there's more steps involved in order to get the information. I don't know if I got my point.
Well, I don't know. For our e-blast, Lizzie, because I'm the one doing those, okay, you need to know how time consuming. It's become not difficult conceptually, but it's very time consuming to set up what we've got. But we're doing it. We have to do it. We just have to do it. And that's me and Ann pretty much, and Doug, who works.
Right.
It's a Zumwinkle team and me setting up all these different links before I can send out either an agenda or then an e-blast. But one solution to what you're saying, so that anybody who goes to our website can also have it really easily, is there a way when you redo the website for all the e-blasts to be a constant flow? So every time we do an e-blast, it shows up also on the website? That's a question I don't know technically the answer, but then those links would be there. That wouldn't be possible for Facebook for sure. Would not. So
we'll follow up on that, Lizzie and Laura. And perhaps when we talk to Anne for website updates, we can ask her about that.
I mean, I know
if
that
it can be done
website
that'd be,
sorry, go ahead, Lizzie.
Really,
okay.
If it could be done on the website alone, it would be really nice, because then we would just post the link to the website. So that would be just one more. instead of downloading a PDF file
yeah, that
without
actually,
proper.
mhm. Yeah, that actually leads into our next agenda item, which is communications, marketing, event ideas, potential joint work with you, Lizzie, on outreach. But and a little bit of like what we were talking about earlier with website update discussion. And one of the things that I hope to do is to, in fact, I think make our e-blast a little bit more succinct. It, just because, you know, I think that it's great, Laura, that you've been able to get this out, because, you know, even when I wasn't on UNNC, I still got these, and it was helpful, but it's a lot and it's overwhelming. You know, it's a lot of information, and it can be overwhelming for a lot of our folks that maybe are not very, you know, savvy with, you know, email or just in general opening, you know,
the agenda e-blasts have to kind of do what they're doing. But are you talking about those or the news and update e-blasts that I haven't done in a month and a half?
No, these meetings. So our notifications, I mean, I don't know how, perhaps we should sign up to other neighborhood councils agenda notifications, but I mean, the Brown Act doesn't require us necessarily to include the entire agenda on these e-blasts, which is I think what we're doing now. And then additionally, we are only required to include the link to the agendas. One thing that we do need to change on our agenda, which the Brown Act does require, is to have a direct link to agendas on the web page. And so that's one thing that I was going to suggest when we
wait. I'm sorry, what?
So
because I don't think it's technically possible.
Yeah, so we should have a direct link to the agendas page, not the agenda, the agendas page, so that it's accessible to people when they hop on our website, UNNC.org. Boom, they know exactly where the link, where the agenda page is. Whereas
I understand. I thought you meant on the agenda before it's posted, that it has to be, the link has to be on the agenda before it's posted, and that's not possible. That's not what you mean.
No, not that. And then also just, I mean, I understand we're doing this for transparency, or probably accessibility more so, to link the agenda PDFs, but Lizzie does bring a good point to perhaps have these flow into our website, so we can look into that a little more.
Yeah, so Gabby, I get probably a dozen, at least, maybe more, neighborhood council agendas all the time, because they're being sent to president@unnc.org. So I get them from Van Nuys to the harbor.
Okay.
So many of them, it's actually the opposite. You know, they're shorter, the e-blasts are shorter, but now you have to click on the PDF just to see what the agenda is. And so while the Brown Act allows that, I personally am always quite annoyed where I have to actually get to the PDF to actually see what's on the agenda. So UNNC, whoever set this MailChimp template up, because that's all it is, it's a template for, I mean, we have multiple templates, but the one for agendas is what it is. It's just that I've had to, the upfront piece, we now have to add, you know, at the top, where the PDF is, and at the top of each agenda, I'm adding all the Zoom links, because the one time I just simply forgot to do it, boy, were there people complaining because they had to go find the Zoom link. So they wanted in that e-blast.
Yeah, that's fine. Because it'll provide access to the meeting. I'm not opposed to that, but I want to hear what Raheem thinks about e-blasts and whether or not we need to do anything about them.
He's mute.
Sorry to put you on the spot, Raheem.
No, I'm like, oh, hey, good morning. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really given a lot of thought to the e-blasts. I really don't. I'd have to relook at an e-blast now and really kind of look at it maybe with a different, little bit different of a lens. Yeah.
Okay, let's add this e-blast thing to our website to-dos.
Okay.
To check it out. And
yeah, I wrote it down.
So that
And Gabby, I do think that we just a month ago already discussed that, yes, the agenda, people, our website isn't very good for letting people know the minute they land where to go to find things. So they don't know where to find the agendas. They don't know where to find the bylaws. They don't know where to find the standing rules. I've gotten that feedback too.
yeah.
So there
Well,
needs to be something done so that it's real intuitive. And I think
yeah.
that
So
frankly,
we have our to do then, Raheem, to
right.
make sure to meet with our web
Mhm.
consultant.
Right.
So we should probably move forward to the communications and marketing event ideas and potential work with outreach committee. So we had discussed at the last meeting doing some sort of virtual open house and seeing if there was any interest. I felt like, Raheem, people were like kind of blah about it. So I mean, if we want to do it, I'm fine with that. We can maybe do like a trick or treat type thing during Halloween and like, you know, maybe host something.
Mhm.
So I mean, do we want to do anything in the next coming weeks or maybe in like a month or two?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think about what would be something that people would actually want to like show up to, you know?
Like, do we want to do like an election, an election party, or you know, if you voted, come celebrate with us, or you know, anything that can, yeah, you're right, get people to participate, because that might be a little hard right now. I don't know how many people are looking to hop on Zoom.
Yeah, right. I think it has to be something like fun, like
Mm-hmm.
maybe like a trivia night or like a trivia something or like
Oh,
something.
yeah. You know what? I just got an email from an association. They're doing a trivia night. So I'm actually going to
Mm-hmm.
go to that so that I can
See?
copy
Okay.
whatever it is they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But we can look at doing a trivia night. That's a really great idea.
Yeah, it's got to be something fun, like,
Yeah, yeah,
you know, like we're all like doing video calls at work all day and like just getting on
exactly.
a call. You know what I mean? It has to be something enticing, I think.
So there's like a trivia
Oh,
night.
wow.
Do you guys see this email?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, they explained a little bit about what I guess what's going to happen during the trivia night. So we may want to, you know, look at maybe doing something like that. I really like that idea.
Yeah,
Right.
like a UN, like, yeah, and I mean, Laura, this is where you could be a lot of help. I know you know a lot of history about, well, a lot of things, but, you know, specifically the UNNC area. It'd be cool if
Yeah.
we could have like a UNNC specific
Oh.
trivia.
Right.
Oh,
Well, you
also,
know, Lizzie knows a lot too about like Japanese American history, and so I mean, it would be. Is that a trivia night, or would we almost do a? Because how does trivia night work?
well, Gabby's gonna find out.
Well, I'm gonna do some recon.
No, but what I'm asking is it a contest where you pre-post the questions and maybe people know the answers? Maybe.
You don't pre-post them, but like it's just like a game show live. Like you ask a question and then somehow people like buzz in or whatever and give an answer. If it's right, they get points. People
Yeah,
people
like
amass points.
there's this.
Multiple choice, you know, 3 choices, and go through a slide. I was also thinking some organizations are posting either a class or a workshop.
Right.
Ooh,
Yeah.
you know what we could do? We could do like a we could partner with Surface, who's in our area. We can do like a cooking night. Like we can like have some like see if they have a chef who can like, you know, some sort of simple dish. We send out the ingredients list ahead of time. Everybody can tune in and cook this dish all together.
Right.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to raise my hand and not interrupt.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Laura. We got too carried away.
Empowerment Congress West did do a, hang on, I mean, because they're doing a lot of these, but they did Quarantined and Healthy Cooking, hosted by Tracy Brown, whoever that is.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I know who that is.
August. But they are also planning at some point, because this is the group that did bingo, this is the neighborhood council that's doing occasional bingo, but they're going to be doing a something called virtual bingo Halloween style, whatever that may mean.
Yeah.
Whatever that may mean. So yeah, that group where Gina Fields is insane.
Yeah.
And so they
Look at this. This is what I'm talking about when we need to proofread everything. That is terrible.
I don't know what they're promoting, but
Okay, so you said a Halloween.
right, but also I'm thinking a couple of things. I mean, what you could do for Halloween, except for aren't we competing with a lot? You could have a Halloween costume contest on Zoom. But for little kids and maybe, the Sunday before, so it's not competing with actual Halloween, which is on a Saturday.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, I don't think trick-or-treating is going to happen. I'm just not sure. And
Laura, what's the as a neighborhood council, we're not allowed to give out prizes or gifts, right? Is that true?
We aren't allowed to have, I don't know, some people win prizes. That's a good point. I think if it has no monetary value, but then why would they do it?
All right.
Yeah. I mean, do we have any
we
bags
could do a
left?
Halloween costume parade on Zoom. I mean, in other words, it doesn't have to be.
That'd be cool.
It doesn't have to be a contest.
Lizzie, do we still have bags left?
Yes.
Well, can we just print a coloring book or something that?
Yeah, but how do we get it to people?
Yeah.
Just drop it off at their porch or something.
Yeah.
But and what is it called?
If people want it.
How about a scavenger hunt? Is there a way to do a virtual scavenger hunt? And I am so making this up because I have no
you totally
clue.
are, but but no worries.
I mean, somebody could Google that and see if anybody's ever done a virtual scavenger hunt. Oh, well, now I do know this. That families even are doing talent shows. Which are not necessarily talent, but again, this would be for kids. This would be stuff
that'd be fun.
Encouraging kids.
Yeah, totally.
So it's not a talent. So it's just a talent show. But how at the beginning of this whole pandemic was actually one of the I'm forgetting her name. One of the actresses who had been on Saturday Night Live. It was she and her own family kind of dreamed this up because the kids were so bothersome to them and getting in the way of their doing everything else, that they created a family talent show that was going to be in 2 weeks, so that the kids spent the 2 weeks practicing their talents rather than bothering mommy and daddy while they were trying to do Zoom meetings. But but it ended up being a really fun thing, and people logged in from all over the country. So I don't know how you do translate something like that without saying those words to our stakeholders, but I mean, maybe we can start doing stuff like that. The issue starts being, are we using Zoom for it? Are we using another platform for it? Is Zoom the best platform? As long as it's not a meeting, I don't think Dunn's gonna be.
I don't think it should be a problem.
Yeah.
But of course, we'll run it by them. I added desk concerts. If we have any musicians in our neighborhood.
Oh, we definitely have musicians in our neighborhood.
Paint night.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Virtual paint night.
How do you do that?
Just the same way you do it in person. Like you have an artist who's showing people how to draw. Like this is how you draw a cloud. This is how you draw.
I made that up too, Laura.
You do it.
Wait. So wait, could the underground museum people do it for? I mean, could they? They're in our neighborhood.
I'm sure they could connect us with. I'm sure they could connect us with an artist who would who would help host it. Yeah.
Right, because actually MoCA's doing that. I mean, I just got an
Oh, yeah?
email today from MoCA but they're doing it in schools. But if you look at their little promo video, because the reason they sent out an email today was fundraising. Hey, look what we're doing. Can you give us more money? But they are doing essentially art teaching online. So they might give some money to Underground Museum to do that, since they fund the Underground Museum.
Right.
Okay. So I think we got a few solid ideas.
Well, the other thing we could start doing, and it would be so swell if it was someone other than me, though I have all of this, we could just start doing some presentations on various histories in our neighborhood.
I was going to suggest that what you do for West Zappies every year.
I mean, I think
like
I already have the one
tour?
presentation on African American, trailblazers who lived in our community. I think
that's pretty cool.
That. Yeah, but I'm also thinking, Lizzie, your passion project, the Japanese American signs in the community that are still there. It just is, all these are PowerPoint. Well, they're PowerPoint, but really they're slideshows with somebody giving a speech. And I mean, some of I have would not be of that much interest. I have like old farmhouses in the area was not that probably very interesting to our stakeholders. But yeah, because Lizzie, I've done those about 5 years in a row for the Avenues, right? Different presentations.
Yes.
Here's a really crazy idea. Like, I keep thinking about, like, what if we like mashed not all of this up, but a lot of this up, and had like instead of like a whole like music night or a talent show night, like we did like UNNC like variety show that was just like a half hour, 5 minutes of it was like a historical presentation, and then like some sort of like talent act, and then like something, what I mean, just so like maybe like little like cooking segment, just so like it's not all just like one thing for one segment of people. It's just like a variety show, it'd be
that sounds
it might be difficult to put together, but it seems like it'd be really fun and like weird enough that people might like tune into it,
I think that's a really great idea. I love that. So why don't we, I mean, do we have to, I guess we have to bring this to the board, right? Like whatever we're proposing, or?
I don't think it's more about when would it be on a calendar compared to everything else, but there's no money. Well, I'll say it this way. There is no money involved. So there's no funding. I don't know that we need to have a BAC for it. I don't think the board necessarily needs to approve it.
Perhaps when we just
so it's a report that of your plans.
I was just gonna say that. So Raheem, why don't we look at logistics for these, and then we can I love that big business, and then we can bring a report to the board October at the October meeting.
October 1st. It's right around the corner.
Yeah.
So So I do, these are all fun ideas. I do want to return to seriousness for a minute, which is Rosie did send a pissy email about how we're not posting, not the website and not the e-blast, but to the Facebook about our agenda, interesting time, the planning and zoning, but the next Recreation and Parks Committee meeting, they're going to be agendaing the redo of the park, the little pocket park at Washington and 12th, for example. These are all things that we should be promoting out more than just on an agenda or an e-blast related to the agenda. So that's one thing, but also the new relaunch of Planning 101 that the planning department is doing. So we all got that email, I think. Maybe we all got the email. I'll have to send it forward to the whole board. But the second Thursday of October and then the second Thursday of November, 2 different sessions, maybe some other nights. They're doing public sessions. People can take planning training. The first one is, I think, about how cases are processed. And it sounds boring, but not unimportant. So we should be also kind of promoting some of those things. The Congress of Neighborhoods, which is going to be virtual this year and is not this Saturday, but next Saturday. Again, open to anyone. We should be sure we're promoting some of that stuff too, along with, I saw what Lizzie was writing, the ability, do the census. That should go out. It looks like you guys are doing that, but also plan your vote. That's another important thing. If you're going to vote, make sure you're organized and do it early, don't do it late. Not telling people how to vote, just plan your vote. Some of these messages gotta get out. And
okay,
the
so I put on our
useful we are to our stakeholders, the more they look to us for other information.
I put on our to-do then, Raheem, to look at some social media posts that we need to get to for next week. And we're very busy people, so we're definitely right.
Yeah, I keep saying
we're
it now.
all
I really
very busy.
have to.
And so it's incredibly hard to get to everything, but I think we're as we get better at figuring out what we need to do, perhaps we can actually get to those things.
I think the calendar will help a lot, like to
Yeah.
Rosie's
Concerns,
email, and even to your point about the Parks and Rec thing. Like, once we have the first thing we're going to put on the calendar are all of the committee meetings. We're going to dedicate a post the day before to every committee meeting. And so, like, once we have those slotted in, it'll just kind of be triggers for us to post something. And so we're on our way.
I mean, it's going to take some time. It's not going to be right away. And, we're just going to have to, they're just going to have to deal with it for a little bit.
Right. Well, and
sorry, Rosie.
Yeah, and no, but also the other thing is, at some point, now that we've had this several come to Jesus moments where we realize that this pandemic ain't going to be over by April 17th, and it's not going to be over by June, and it's not going to be over by October, and maybe we're on it till at least the end of 2021. I feel like we need to start doing some things like profiling our local businesses where we're not conflicting. I mean, in other words, we have to find out what we can and cannot do to promote our businesses, but not inure benefit to one business. So I don't quite know what we can do, but I'd love to do the bigger research, a whole post on restaurants in UNNC. And not reviews, not try to know their hours because they change now every week. And we understand that some are going to be out of business before we finish, but like a whole restaurants and then I'll look at the other retail businesses on Jefferson. I mean, I don't know how far we can or cannot do, but I do feel we need to support our neighborhood businesses somehow. And that would be working with the Economic Development Committee, which is Chris and Hugo, and they haven't even gotten together themselves to figure out what night they're meeting. But I think we need to keep in mind that part of this committee is supporting the other committee efforts. Whatever that may mean. Or maybe we just need to be writing you reports and you edit them and go back to your communications process, but not do it for them.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, we have our to-dos now, Raheem, and based on both of your feedback, Lizzie and Laura. But I don't believe there's anything left on our agenda.
But let me just give you for example. Well, I'm sorry I'm battering on, but for example, the second Planning and Zoning second meeting in October, whatever that date may be, but the third Wednesday of October, we're agendaing essentially a conversation about community benefits. In the idea is to create a list of things that we can approve as a board that we
Mhm.
actually could hand a developer and say, you know, we hope that when you participate in 1% for art, which is a
Well,
requirement,
what do you want us to do with that?
well, once we
that item.
figure out exactly what that's going to be,
Mhm.
that should be promoted because it should be a broader conversation and not just a sort of 7 people who always go to planning and zoning. But
Okay.
so that's why I'm trying to say not every planning
Yeah.
and zoning meeting needs to be pushed, but a conversation where we're going to develop a list that we use for the next 5 years as a sort of boilerplate to hand to
I
developers.
mean, our
Well,
social media schedule will standardize messaging around committee meetings so that we're promoting our meetings. I don't know that it'll be feasible for us to identify when we should do. I mean, I guess
I see.
if you tell us this, I want to post a Facebook, sorry, my back scratcher. Like,
okay.
I want to post a,
You have one of those things. That looks like a good thing to have.
yeah,
Because I-
it is. Yeah, totally. But if you want to have, if you want us to highlight an item for social media posting, then we can do that. But for us to keep track of that will be incredibly difficult. So
yeah, we're
So-
gonna have to
No.
build in like touch bases with the committee chairs.
yeah,
days,
yeah,
you know what I
that's a
mean?
good
Like,
point.
That's why I'm saying, no, the committee chairs are the ones who need to tell you, not the other way around.
So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, but that's how things
Yeah.
fall through the cracks, right? So
yeah,
let me make a note of that to perhaps develop a mechanism for checking in with our committee chairs then, Raheem, right? So
Yeah.
that we'll be able to get that, we'll be able to do some of our communications around that.
Right. And
Yeah.
noting different committees, it would be different. I mean, the CIS committee, I don't see that you would be doing massive blasting for. But Jefferson
Mhm.
Park Community Safety might have a special speaker. Yeah, you know, and so that I could see
Yeah.
really often where we'd want to
Yeah.
promote it a little wider.
Yeah.
Mostly at planning and zoning, I don't agree with Rosie mostly on planning and zoning. Every meeting has cases we're processing. If people are interested, they ought to be paying. They ought to. That's spelled OUTTA. They ought to be signing up for our e-blast and paying
They
attention.
oughta.
They ought.
Well, Supervisor Kuehl came up with a word at my meeting. She said overwhelmtion. So,
Right.
and I asked her, I'm like, I mean, they asked her, did you make that up? And she's like, yeah, but it captures what I'm trying to say. Right. So we all do that.
But I will tell you that Dorit is a planner, and she's planned ahead already what her agenda is next month. It's the second Monday of October, but she already knows what's on it, for example.
Wow.
So, and she's eager to
She's
get.
better than us.
Well, it's because this committee has been dead for 10 years, and she's eager for it to be very alive. So she's trying to get people to participate in it, versus planning and zoning, which last night had 57 people, and the 2 weeks ago had 36. So, I don't need to do a lot more promoting. So I'm really not totally agreeing with Rosie, or she could have put it out herself. Oh, that sounds bitchy. Instead of reaming us out for not doing it. But anyway, so different committees are different and different times are different. So it's probably a mix of reminding committee chairs they need to talk to you and you guys reaching out.
Yeah, I flagged that on our meeting notes, so we'll make sure to follow up on that. Sorry, Lizzie, did you have something to add before we adjourn?
She's muted.
Hold on, let me unmute you.
Oh.
I think she's self-muted. There you go.
Would you mind sharing that first document with me?
Oh, yeah.
With a compilation, because then now I can think more.
Which one did you want to see?
Mission statement.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Let me go ahead and add you to that.
And see what I can
Okay.
I'll come up with.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty. Well, there is nothing else left for us to discuss, so we're adjourned.
3 minutes early.
Yay.
Thank you, guys.
Good job, Gabby. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Okay,
everybody.
have a good night. Bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.
So, I have to be last to turn it off. There we go.